Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video today, we will be discussing data binding in SwiftUI. So just to get us started, let's just quickly swipe to this graphic. So with SwiftUI, you basically have something called DataFlow, and all DataFlow means is the way that the user interacts with the data on the screen, how this gets rendered and how it gets refreshed. So let's just imagine this is a user at the top here, so this is me. So let's say for example, we have a button that toggles the icon, similar to what we're going to do with the play button, where it toggles between play and pause. So if I was to interact with that button and tap it and perform an action, what would then happen is if we have some sort of like property, which I'll go into in a minute, or it will basically mutate that value. So once the value's been mutated and the state has changed, SwiftUI basically knows that, oh, something has changed. So what it will do, it will basically update the view, and then once the view gets updated, it will then render something new to the user. So this new render could basically be like the icon or the toggle changing. So with SwiftUI, you basically have a few properties that you can use to basically manage the state and data flow. And this includes state, publishers, observable objects, and many, many more as well. But for this video today, we're just going to focus on using observable objects, published, and observed objects as well for now. In future videos, we will use other ones, but for now, we're just going to stick with this because that's what we need. So let's jump straight into the video. Alright guys, so carrying on from our last video, which was based around accessibility, in this video we're just going to focus on binding our view model, which contains all our teams, to our list so we can actually see a list of all the teams. So let's get started. So like I discussed before about the state and SwiftUI rendering and changing the views, what we actually need to do is we actually need to bind some data to our list view. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is we need to open up our Teams view model. So you can either do Command-Shift-O to search for the Teams view model. So like so, Teams view model. Or if you don't want to do that, you can alternatively just go from top here to your folder, view model, and then Teams view model. So the first thing we need to do is we need to basically make this class, subclass, observable object, and then what this is going to do is it's basically going to make our class boundable. So if a change happens in this class object, the view in SwiftUI will basically pick up on this and render a new state. So now that we've made our class observable so it can observe changes to the class, the next thing we need to do is we need to basically make our list observable as well. So when the list has a change to it, so when the property in team changes from either true or false, we want to basically listen to this change. And in order to do that, we basically need to use a SwiftUI property wrapper called published. So let's just do that now. So published. So remember to put the @ symbol and then publish, starting with a capital P. And what we basically say here is we're basically saying that I want you to listen to changes that happen to this array of teams. So if we were to change the name or information or any of these properties, publish will basically trigger to the view that has been modified, and then the state is changed, and then it would render something new to the user. And we're going to see this in action when we actually get to it in a later video where we actually change some values in our array. So now that we've done that, we've now made our class observable, and we've now made our array so you can listen to publish changes. What we need to do is we need to actually hook this up to our list. So what we need to do is go back to our content view. So we just go and search for our content view. We then basically need to hook. But just create two panes here. So let's turn that off and just open up the view model here. Cool. We now need to hook this view model in here and then listen to changes. So hook our teams to our list to listen for changes. So let's do that now. So what I'm just going to do is I'm basically just going to create a observed object of the view model, and then we'll discuss this in a minute. So let's do that now. So let's just say at observed, wrong one. So at observed object, and then we're going to say this is going to be for our view model. So our view model, teams view model. Right, cool. And what we're basically saying here is because we've marked our view model with observable objects, we're basically now saying that we want to observe changes to this class here. So now we're basically saying observe object. So if we didn't subclass observable object in this class, we couldn't make it an observed object because it doesn't have the subclass. So the next thing we need to do now is we want to basically hook up our team or teams to our list. So pretty straightforward, because we've already marked this as published, we don't need to do anything crazy. So in the range here, nothing here, and then remove this. And then instead of using the list to basically loop through, what we want to do is we want to just nest in here. So for each, and we're going to say we're going to say view model dot teams, and then we're going to say team in, and then that's it. So a few more things that we're going to need to do. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is, because we're getting this error here, it's basically saying that team needs to conform to identifiable. So identifiable is basically a type which allows you to uniquely identify an object. So what we need to do is we need to make our team conform to identifiable. So let's do that now. So on this panel here, if we just basically go into our team, command and then go into team, all we simply need to do with this struct is literally just put a semicolon and then use the type protocol identifiable, and then let's just build this now, and then that's it. So now what we've said here, and you don't actually see it doing it, but behind the scenes, what this is actually doing is it's basically making each instance of this team unique. And that's because the loop for each in Swift needs to be able to uniquely identify each item so it can basically present it within the list. So that's what we're doing here. So we're uniquely creating a new item in a list so that you can basically see each item. So the final thing that we need to do now is just a bit of cleanup. So let's just close this. And then what we need to do is we just want to delete this because we don't need that dummy data no more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just delete this from all the references that it talks about. So let's delete it from here. And then let's also delete it from our main app, because we don't need it here anymore either. Okay, cool. So now let's just go back. Well, we can actually delete this as well because we don't need this either. So now let's just go back. Let's remove the pin from here and then let's hit resume. Cool. So now we have a list of all our teams that you can see that's been rendered out properly. So now what we need to do is, if we just hit the play button just to preview all our teams, you just scroll through it. Nice. So you can see all the teams here in the Premier League, and this matches. So we just pin this. This matches and corresponds with our array of teams if you look at that. So Arsenal, Aston Villa, Brighton, Burnley, and so on and so forth. So that's basically how you bind a list or an array to a list. So it's pretty straightforward. Alright guys, so that was a pretty straightforward video. So in the next video, we're actually going to take our list one step further, and we're actually going to look at how we can use closures and mutating functions to basically change the state of views on the screen. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, deuces.